Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys a pretty cool video here today. So what we'll be doing today, we do this just about every year, is we're going to be going over the top 10 Pokemon in Pal the Index Draft. Now, not my opinion on those. Actually, it's going to be a community-based opinion. As you can see right here, I have a community poll that I put out. I think I got about 80 responses, so a decent sample size considering my poll isn't that big. But what I did is I took the most recent DCL, the Draft Champions League, the current biggest tournament going on right now in Draft League. I took their tiers, took most of their top tiers to give a lot of answers. And I asked you guys to rank your top 10 favorite Draft League Pokemon. This is about a month ago, so it's been a little bit since, so maybe some opinions have changed in the meantime. But essentially, people just kind of ordered them 1 to 10, what they thought was best. The Terra rules, we'll just be kind of assuming free Terra preview, just like DCL. And we're using the Terra bands that they used in DCL. So, for example, Great Tusk, we're going to evaluate it like it can Terra. Iron Valiant, like it's Terra Band, Palafin, like it's Terra Band, Deoxys Speed, like it's Terra Band, and there was a notation next to each Pokemon that would not be Terra allowed. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over the community-based top 10 Pokemon in Pal the Index Draft. If you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 5,000 subs, and I'm really hoping to get there by the end of the year, but we don't got that much more time, so I'd really appreciate if you help me out along that journey. And yeah, that being said, let's jump into it. Let's see the top 10 Pokemon Draft League right now. Alrighty guys, at number 10, we get a pretty darn surprising one right off the bat, for me at least, and that is going to be Meowscarada. Now, I have the little graphs on board kind of showing how much percentage they got. You can see Meowscarada right here got 16.2% of the 80 votes that we had at number 10. The way we'll also kind of break ties to, if say a Pokemon, like let's say a random Pokemon above us got, the most votes in 10, but also got the most votes in 9, I'm going to give it the 9th slot in 10, and then go the next best for 10th. Doesn't really matter for 10th, but just keep that in mind as we go along. But back to the topic on hand, we have Meowscarada. I love Meow, right? I think it's an incredible Pokemon. I think it's kind of cemented itself as, a really, really, really powerful threat in the Scarlet and Violet Draft League metagame. I think Dark Spam is incredibly, incredibly powerful right now. It's one of the best knockoff guys in the world. I mean, it's Weavile, but kills every water type and sets up spikes and U-turns, right? So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with the Protean boosted attacks, U-turns, and things of the sort. I am a bit surprised, though. I think we have some really, really powerful Pokemon on this list of top 10, especially considering that we are going free Terra preview on a lot of these guys. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad pick, and I've seen it be going round 1 in a ton of leagues and a ton of places, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I'll kind of be giving my own thoughts here and there for this list, but mostly I'm going to save it to kind of go over your guys' lists and what makes these Pokemon all really potent and powerful. I'm personally not a big Meowscarada number 10 guy, but maybe we'll end up making a top 10 list of our own by the time the year ends or the generation ends. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. But regardless, Meowscarada at number 10 makes a good bit of sense. At number 9, we're back into my sweet spot. Some Pokemon I absolutely love, and with 12.5% of the votes, we have Garchomp. Now, keep in mind, this is a Terra banned Garchomp, assuming it cannot Terra. It is banned. I'd be really surprised to see leagues allowing Terra Garchomp. I think that guy would get really out of hand with Swords and Scale Shot sets. But Chomp is always just kind of the picture-perfect example of high-tier roll compression, right? Obviously, we have those Swords Dance Scale Shot variants that can just kind of win games on their own if the wrong things take the wrong amount of chip at the wrong time. But on top of that, gaining Spikes this generation really helped it out in those Tank Chomp rolls, right? We can still be Rock's Rocky Helmet Rough Skin, we can still be Spike's Rocky Helmet Rough Skin now, or we can go double Hazards and get immense value out of being a very physically defensive Pokemon, really punishing physical offense, but at the same time being incredibly strong offensively, even just naturally, right? We have those Sword Stance sets, we have those Hazard sets, we have Assault Vest, we have Choice Scarf. I've run plenty of Choice Band in my day as well. Mixed sets, even fully special sets. Really, you can get a ton done with big Garchomp right here, and I think it is very, very deserving of our number 9 slot. At number 8, we have a fan favorite here on the channel in Deoxys Speed. Now again, Terra banned Deoxys Speed, not a lot of Terra in this instance, and it did have 10% of the votes at number 8, just barely missing out behind another Pokemon that will be showcased later on the list. I don't want to spoil it though, because that's all the fun in these list videos, right? But I personally love Dio. I think it's actually a little bit higher, or a little bit lower than it really should be, or higher, I guess, depending on how you look at it. I think the speed tier that it offers alongside the move pool that it has really make up for any discrepancies it has in its offenses and defenses being a little bit middling and mediocre. The value that you get out of having a Pokemon that has 180 speed and the move pool that Deoxys does is just flabbergasting. It's insane. Again, we want to talk about roll compression. We have a breaker with Life Orb. We can go physical, special. Mix is incredible with a Life Orb as a mixed attacker. We can go rocks and spiked. We can go screens. We can go set up variants with Calm Mind, with Nasty Plot, with even Cosmic Power, making like weakness policy variants and things of the sort. We knock off items and disrupt really, really well. And we are an incredible, incredible revenge killer. Absolutely love Deoxys speed. And again, I personally think it's a little bit low here at number 8. I'd have it a little bit higher, but I understand the sentiment at the very least. At number 7, we have yet another fast Pokemon in Greninja. I think we're noticing a theme here. 1, offensive dark types are incredibly strong. And 2, speed kills, and more so actually number 2. I mean, another really, really fast Pokemon, a Pokemon that's really coming to its own this generation. Not that Greninja hasn't always been like a draft league staple, right? It's always been absolutely incredible, but the nerfs to Protean and Ashgren, or Battle Bond, I guess is the better way of saying that, this generation really, really opened up this Pokemon, because now they aren't so broken to where they can't be used in draft league, but they're still incredible, incredible tools. Protean is obviously nice being able to switch up your typing. It's much better on like spiking utility sets in my opinion, but Choice Specs Battle Bond is always just so potent. You're always almost giving away 1 KO away from just losing the game, so much so that it's almost worth going Terra on Greninja, and this is non-Terra Ban Gren, not because it's necessarily like good on Protean. It's actually really, really bad on Protean, and you're kind of locking yourself into running Battle Bond if it's your Terra captain. But Battle Bond with Terra is so unbelievably strong, whether it be a defensive typing to resist some kind of priority or Scarf or hit that might come your way, or just be Terra Water and being Choice Specs, Terra Water, Hydro Pump, Water Shuriken, whatever it is, maybe Life Orb, maybe E-Belt, whatever it might be. Terra Greninja with a Battle Bond boost under it is essentially a 1-ball game. I mean, it's that simple, really. It's incredibly, incredibly strong and incredibly, incredibly good. And again, we still have that utility of setting up a spike on a switch in, right? Really whittling down our checks as they come in. Very Gen 7 OU Ashgren-esque. So I think it actually definitely deserves its number 7 spot. We've seen a real big rise in Greninja this generation. I think one of the teams in Summer Seasonal that is in finals actually has Meowscarada Greninja on it, which doesn't seem like a very, traditional, conventional core, but Dark Spam is just so strong offensively this generation that it makes sense, right? So big shouts to Gren, getting a big come up and finally being considered a top 10 Pokemon in Draft League this generation. From one water type to the next. Next up, we have Ogerpon Wellspring, getting 10% of the votes in number 6, being beaten out by one other Pokemon that's actually going to be our number 5 slot, so we'll save that one for the next. Ogerpon is incredibly, incredibly potent with Terra this generation. One, getting the Spadef boost really helps out in a lot of setup opportunities, getting up a Swords Dance and kind of just smoking through a ton of teams, doing a ridiculous amount of damage, but also the Spadef boost is really nice, really gaining a ton of bulk, facilitating those setup opportunities, or just making it a great check to a lot of special attackers. Those IV Cudgels are damn near unguardable in conjunction with our stab in in Horn Leech or Woodhammer or Power Whip, whichever move you want to go for, in conjunction with U-Turn, in conjunction with Spikes, in conjunction with Play Rough. And again, we obviously mentioned like Swords Dance. We can also Swords Dance Trailblaze, get a little bit faster, sweep through the game. I mean, this Pokemon is incredibly strong and one of the best Terra captains for a reason, and at number 6 for a reason. At number 5, we finally move away from the speed, going way down to Raging Bolt. This is Terra Raging Bolt, and personally, one of my favorite Pokemon to use in the format. I don't know if I would consider it this high, but I really do love using this thing, man. In conjunction with Calm Mind, Thunderclap, and its really unguardable stabs, this Pokemon is really tough to deal with in a lot of matchups, to where you don't really need to go Terra Blast, like Terra offensive coverage move very often, just because of the fact that your coverage is so good neutrally to so many. However, if there is a matchup where you need that super effective Terra Blast, maybe we're not Calm Mind, maybe we're AV, maybe we're 4 attacks boots, that Terra Blast coverage is incredible, whether it be Terra Water, Poison, Steel. I've run Terra Dragon so many times on this thing too, because its Dracos just feel unguardable, as not a lot of defensive fairies really exist, and all of them get vaulted on. If you're drafting well with your Raging Bolt, it's going to be really difficult to deal with. And again, just kind of the general defensive application of Terra on this guy is awesome. I love having Terras that are bulky enough to live pretty much any one of anything, or become a catch one check to whatever you need them to check in a matchup, as well as still be very potent offensively. And that's what Raging Bolt is. I mean, incredibly strong and still decently fast considering how bulky and how strong it is. Absolutely love this guy. I think it's incredible, and it definitely deserves the number 5 spot. Alrighty, number 4, and remember when I said we're going away from speed? I lied. Back right to it, we have Tornadus there. In my opinion, the undisputed draft league GOAT, always finding and clinging on to top tier relevance, and this generation is no different. Now Torn is typically doing it a little bit more offensively in conjunction with Terra. I mean, we obviously see bulky boots, regen, Torn do its damn thing, but we also often see these very offensive variants, these Terra Electric variants, these Terra Flying Specs variants, or these defensive Terra typing sets that really allow you to kind of switch in and take on your checks, throw off nasty knockoffs and U-turns, and really facilitate the rest of your team. Something else I've seen really cool with Torn, because of its speed tier and because of Regenerator, people are typically often using it in choice specs and choice band variants with a Terra Blast and a Terra typing that the opponent doesn't have a common resist to. I forget who did it, but I was told about a game in DPL, not last season, but I think the season before, where someone brought a Terra Ghost Torn choice band into a team because they didn't have Ghost Resist, and it absolutely smoked through, just clicking Terra Blast. So I think Torn is really, really versatile and really helps a good builder in their game plan, and it's obviously, I mean, best for ability in the game, incredibly fast, with Terra, nasty plot, whatever you need. I mean, of course this guy's going to be good, and of course it's going to be at number 4 on our list. Getting into the top 3, we have Terra Kingambit next. Now, this one is very interesting to me. Not in the sense that I wholeheartedly disagree, but if you guys have been watching the 2KO podcast that I've been doing with King L5, we talked about a couple episodes ago kind of the fall off of Kingambit and how it hasn't been really performing very well at high levels, but at least the player base that did this survey still hold it in high regards. And again, I understand why, right? I've used Terra Kingambit before. I absolutely love the thing. It's very Raging Bolt-esque. It's the physical Raging Bolt, or I guess Raging Bolt is a special Kingambit, in the sense that they're incredibly strong, incredibly bulky, strong priority, and can tear into whatever you need them to check or beat. They're going to do it well. I have seen it really struggle as of recently, like we talked about in the 2KO podcast, but it's also kind of dependent on the communities that you're in, yeah? You know, like if I had a lot of DCL players taking this poll, I'm sure they would have had Kingambit a little bit lower, but a lot of the people that took this poll, maybe it's people on Wi-Fi, maybe it's people in Showdown Leagues where Kingambit's going going crazy still. It ends up getting the number 3 spot on our list and clinging on to that top tier status and name. At number 2, we have Landorus Tusk. Just kidding. Great Tusk. I mean, he's the new Lando T, is why I say that. This guy's absolutely incredible, right? This is Terra Great Tusk, but very often you don't see Terra Great Tusk. Now, that's not to say that it's bad on Tusk, right? I mean, most Pokemon, when they get Terra, they get immensely better, but Tusk is awesome because it is that good for a team without needing to take up a Terra slot, really allowing for some more versatility, and for that round 2 pick, that round 3 pick, to be that Terra captain and really having a complete and awesome team. I mean, this thing is debatably number 1 for me personally. I absolutely love this guy, whether it be offensively with its unguarded stabs, rapid spin to boost speed, or booster energy if you need, bulk up for setup, and then just insane coverage, or its defensive application. This thing having a ridiculous amount of fizz def, or being able to go AV as like a strong blanket check to whatever you need and killing something. I mean, absolutely incredible Pokemon, so unbelievably strong, and really just fits on every team humanly possible. So being up at number 2 seems like a bare minimum for Big Tusk right here. And at number 1, with a staggering 30% of the number 1 votes, we have Iron Valiant. I mean, incredibly strong Pokemon. We just used it recently in BBR, and I will say, going into the season, I had my doubts, like, this guy just doesn't seem like he's him. No, he's him. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad Valiant matchup. It is so unbelievably strong from the physical to the special side. The speed tier is incredible. It still gets great utility moves and Encore and Destiny Bond and Taunt, and I believe even Thunder Wave, which is pretty damn funny. We can Calm Mind, we can Swords Dance. We can do so much with this guy, and that Fairy Fighting offensive typing is just unguardable in a lot of matchups. I mean, there's really very few defensive poisons that can even actually take this on otherwise. It's really only those poisons that typically don't have the recovery means to long-term check something like Valiant, because it is so unbelievably strong. Oh, excuse me. Right on the last one, I start yawning. Good job, Owen. But yeah, I absolutely love this Pokemon. I think it is more than deserving of the #1 spot as the best Pokemon in Paldea Dex Draft. Let me know what you guys think of this list. I will say, personally, I did kind of like hype up all these Pokemon as they're all obviously incredible, right? There's no bad Pokemon on this list. But I didn't personally agree with a lot of the Pokemon that we saw here in 1 through 10. So let me know if you guys would like to see my personal top 10 list at some point. This is like the community list, what the 80 people who voted on this thought. Obviously, it'd be great to get a bigger sample size, but you can only do so much. You know, I put this out a couple times, and this is who responded to it. And again, big thank you to everybody who took the time out of their day to respond to it. I know it's like not required at all, so taking time of your day to help me make a fun little YouTube video for you guys to watch is very much so appreciated, and I do appreciate it a ton. So thank you guys so much. Again, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new here, drop a sub. Appreciate it. On our way to 5K. That being said, let me know if you'd like to see a new one or my own specific list, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Oh, also, let me know your list in the comments below. Alrighty, I'll see you guys next time. Later.